The tweet heard round the sports talk world when San Diego State's Adam Muema walked out of an NFL tryout last month saying that God told him to do it. And today, he was a no-show at what may have been his last tryout opportunity.
A skilled running back, Muema left school as a junior for a shot at the pros. Then came the tweet. "I will not be playing football," he said. God told him not to, and walk out of the NFL Combine.
I wanted to share briefly on my experience of meeting and seeing the Messiah for the first time.
Shabbat Shalom. I am Cardinal Adam Muema with the Ecumenical Order of Christ.
Adam Muema was just weeks away from earning himself an NFL contract that would make him a multi-millionaire when out of nowhere he disappeared, cut off contact with friends and family, and walked away from the NFL. Adam Muema gave up on his NFL dreams at the last minute to join a religious cult led by a false prophet who claims he's the second coming of Jesus Christ and was brought to earth via a spaceship flown over Jerusalem. Why did Adam Muema walk away from a contract worth millions? Why did he end up joining a religious cult that believes a worldwide apocalypse is imminent? And where is he now? This video tells the wild, true story of the mysterious disappearance of Adam Muema, the man who turned down the opportunity to make millions as a professional athlete in favor of devoting his life to a religious cult. Just before we start the video, please consider dropping a like if you enjoy the video and subscribe for more interesting sports story videos like this. Let's go. Long before Adam Muema was on the radar of NFL scouts, he was a dominant running back for his local high school in California, winning 2 championships and rushing for over 1,900 yards and 23 touchdowns in his senior year. After a dominant high school football career, Adam Muema was set to move on to college football when his football dream was almost ended when he was attacked at a high school graduation party. A group of gatecrashers forced their way into the party, and when Adam tried to convince them to leave, he was attacked with a baseball bat that fractured his orbital bone and tore a hole in his retina. For 2 weeks straight, Adam had to lie down on his bed face down for 23 hours a day to try and recover from the attack. Doctors feared he may never be able to play the sport he loved again. Some people have speculated this brutal head trauma, combined with the head trauma of playing American football, may explain Adam's future unstable behavior, but that is impossible to confirm. Despite such serious injuries and doctors saying his career could be over, Adam's love for the sport was big enough that he never gave up and set his sights on making an impact at the college level. Despite his dominant high school stats, Adam was lightly recruited by colleges and was ranked as the 1,355th best recruit in the nation for the class of 2010 and given a 3-star rating, considered a big long shot to make the NFL. Adam accepted a scholarship offer from the San Diego State Aztecs and sat out his first season with the team as he was still dealing with the injuries suffered from the attack with the baseball bat. Adam announced his arrival on the college football scene with a huge sophomore season as he rushed for 1,558 yards, 16 touchdowns, and an average of 6.2 yards per carry. Outstanding numbers that made people sit up and take notice of the running back who was tearing it up in the Mountain West Conference. Performing well on the field is one thing, but if you can't combine that with being a good person off the field, it can dramatically affect your NFL draft stock. Like how one video of Laramie Tunsil smoking a gas mask bong caused him to slide multiple picks in the draft, despite him being regarded as a nearly flawless prospect. This wasn't an issue for Adam Muema, however, as he was regarded as a great teammate and an extremely hard worker who would put in serious time in the gym lifting weights. He had a deep love of the sport and was fixated on chasing his dream of playing in the NFL. His college coaches said Adam was one of the players they never had to worry about having issues with alcohol or drugs, and he was the kind of guy every coach would want on their team. Kind of like Craig Shiloh from Blue Mountain State before Alex Moran corrupted him.
I don't think so, man.
I think so. I'm gonna kick your ass.
How about I jerk you off?
What'd you say to me?
I said I'd like to jerk you off.
Adam told his San Diego State coaches before his junior season that if he had another big season, he planned to leave college early and declare for the NFL draft, something his coaches advised against. Adam's junior season was indeed a good one as he rushed for 1,244 yards and 15 touchdowns. In the final game of the season at the Idaho Potato Bowl, Adam had the biggest game of his college career as he ran for a massive 229 yards and 3 touchdowns, that put him 4th all-time for total rushing yards in San Diego State University history. With his college legacy cemented, Adam followed through on his promise and announced he was leaving college a year early to play in the NFL after receiving feedback he could be selected as high as the 3rd round, although Adam was expected to be selected in the last few rounds of the draft. Adam decided against another year in college and earning his degree in favor of realizing the NFL dream he'd been working towards for so many years. If Adam Muema was to be selected in the 3rd round of the NFL draft, he would have signed a contract that would have paid him around $3 million across 4 seasons and made him a multi-millionaire in his early 20s just from that one contract. All of the hard work over the years Adam had put in was about to pay off in a huge way for him and his family. The only 2 things left he needed to do was attend the NFL Combine and his pro day to allow NFL scouts to assess him in interviews and drills, as well as measure his athleticism. To prepare himself for the Combine and his pro day, Adam Muema began a typical pre-draft process, which pretty much consists of working out and practicing the drills he would need to perform at the Combine and pro day. Adam was preparing in Miami alongside other NFL draft hopefuls, such as Oklahoma linebacker Corey Nelson, and he was said to have acted completely normal. A bit quiet, but that was just how Adam had always been. There was no signs of the erratic behavior that would end up defining his career just a few weeks later. Given how hard Adam worked in the weight room and how well regarded he was as a teammate, the Combine and Pro Day should have been a chance for Adam to shine and improve his NFL draft stock. However, the NFL Combine would prove to be the end of Adam Muema's football career in some of the most bizarre circumstances I've ever seen in sports. After training in Miami, the NFL Combine finally arrived, and Adam boarded a flight to Indianapolis with the expectation he would put on a show in front of all the NFL scouts that would be attending. After settling in Indianapolis, Adam began his NFL Combine journey. On the 21st of February, he gave an interview to a reporter in which he appeared to be in good spirits, acting normally, and looking to leave a good impression. It's almost eerie to watch how normal Adam appears, while in his head he must have been grappling with the issues that would surface just days later.
Statistic-wise, I felt like physical-wise, mentally-wise, I felt like I was ready for the next step. And people don't give much credit for our conference, so they can't do that when you're in the NFL.
He gave another interview the same day in which he seemed happy, and he said he looked forward to working out on Sunday and showing off his bench and 40-yard dash time, making what happened next even more confusing.
When you get the testing starts?
Well, I heard a couple were doubting my bench and my 40, so I look forward to that, going out there and showing what I can do.
What do you expect on the bench and the 40?
The bench, 25 to 28.
That'll work.
40, I'm not really sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm shooting for 4.41.
4.41.
On Sunday, the 23rd of February, just 2 days after giving those interviews, Adam Muema was due to participate in the running back drills at the Combine to show off to the NFL scouts in attendance. However, instead of showing up and performing the drills he'd been training months for, Adam Muema instead completely disappeared. He did not show up to take part in the running back drills, and he left the NFL Combine without giving a reason for his sudden departure. The drills were taking place on a Sunday, and Adam allegedly told people he was unable to work on Sunday for religious reasons. Adam had always been religious, but never heavily religious to the point he would refuse to work on Sundays, and given he'd literally said just 2 days ago he was looking forward to working out on Sunday, it made absolutely no sense for him to refuse to participate. And not being able to work on Sundays would be a bit of a problem if he planned to play in a league that plays almost exclusively on Sundays. In the most important job interview of his life, and with a potential multi-million-dollar NFL contract hanging in the balance, Adam Muema decided to pack his bags and leave the Combine, despite being fully aware of the huge impact this would have on his NFL draft stock. It was a completely out-of-character move for someone like Adam, but the story was nowhere near over yet. While the other running backs were doing everything to impress scouts, Adam Muema was arriving at Indianapolis Airport to catch a flight back to Miami, where he had been training to get ready for the Combine. As word began to spread of Adam's no-show at the Combine, his worried friends, family, and coaches tried to get in touch with Adam to find out if he was okay, but they received no response. Adam did eventually make a comment while waiting for his flight at the airport, where he said he left the NFL Combine because he was following God, and God had told him that if he left the NFL Combine and did not participate in workouts, he would be drafted by the Seattle Seahawks. He also said he communicated with God through numbers, and that God had told him the Seahawks would give him the number 8. He also posted a custom Muema Seahawks jersey with the number 8 to his Facebook page. This fixation on the number 8 was even weirder, considering that running backs in the NFL could not wear number 8 at the time, but Adam's faith was so strong he did not doubt it. Even more worryingly, Adam would later profess his belief and devotion for a man known as Lord Rayel, and appeared to be taking instructions from him. It's hard to even summarize who Lord Rayel is because his story is so ridiculous and riddled with fraud, but essentially Lord Rayel is a man who claims he arrived on Earth via a spaceship flown over Jerusalem, and he claims he is the second coming of Jesus Christ. He even has a video on YouTube of his supposed arrival to Earth that has obviously been debunked as complete nonsense. Listen mate, just because you didn't get a haircut for a few months doesn't mean you're the second coming of Jesus. The real Lord Rayel is actually Raymond Elwood Howard Lear, a failed politician and a man with a lengthy criminal record that includes domestic abuse, which he served time in prison for. He's also previously been arrested for a bizarre abduction attempt, and might even still be wanted in Indiana to this day for a parole violation. Lord Rayel has an old YouTube channel under the username Christ Has Returned, with a catalogue of strange videos, most of which either proclaim him as Jesus or warn of an impending apocalypse. In this video message from Lord Rayel to his followers, he adopts a horrendously bad fake British accent.
Love each other, and you have failed terribly, and that is why, regrettably, I must judge you as well. Those of you who profess obedience to me.
Lord Rayel uses social media to try and attract followers who he refers to as knights to dedicate themselves to him and in the process save themselves from God's impending wrath. This is presumably how Adam Muema discovered Lord Rayel. There are various posts and articles online exposing Lord Rayel as the fraud he is, but how obviously fake Lord Rayel is, he still has followers dedicated to serving him both in person and online. Lord Rayel has a Facebook group with 8,500 members from all over the world. Lord Rayel and the cult around him is a really deep rabbit hole of crazy nonsense, and just searching his name on YouTube will reveal various messages from him as well as people exposing him as a fraud. I believe currently he has some sort of base or church in North Mexico where he lives with many of his most devoted followers. However, it's hard to fully verify this information. I could make a 40-minute video just on Lord Rayel, but the main point is that just months away from an NFL contract, this wannabe Jesus fraud somehow managed to get into Adam's head and convince him to walk away from his NFL dreams at the last moment. After stating that God told him to leave the combine and declaring his loyalty to Lord Rayel, Adam boarded his flight back to his training base in Miami and went completely off the grid. He didn't respond to calls from friends, family and coaches who were beginning to become increasingly concerned by his silence. As the story of his disappearance began making the headlines, a whole 3 days went by with nobody hearing from Adam Muema, until he finally texted his training partner Corey Nelson, asking for a ride back from the airport. Adam had spent the past 3 days sleeping and living in the airport terminal, and when Corey Nelson picked him up, Adam was still in his NFL-issued combine gear that he'd been wearing in the interviews he'd given a few days earlier. When Nelson asked why he stayed at the airport for so long, Muema said God had told him to stay at the airport and do nothing, and the only reason he decided to leave was that he could not take it in the airport anymore. Adam stayed with Corey Nelson in Miami for a few days, and Nelson commented that while they disagreed on Muema's newfound devotion to Lord Rayel, people should not worry about Adam as he was happy and at peace with everything going on in his life, despite it looking to outsiders like he was suffering some sort of mental breakdown. While disappearing from the combine and sleeping in an airport for 3 days, along with his increasingly strange posts on social media, meant Adam had probably all but killed his chances of an NFL team risking a draft pick on him. It was not all over yet for a player who had played as well as Adam had in college. He still had the chance of being selected towards the end of the draft or signed as an undrafted free agent. His pro day at San Diego State was just a few weeks away and would give Adam the chance to perform the drills he had skipped at the combine, while reassuring teams and scouts in attendance that his recent behaviour was not a true reflection of him. A journalist for ESPN who wrote a fantastic article on the Adam Muema saga, which I'll link below, had been texting with Adam a few days prior to his pro day, but his texts with him were cryptic and very religious in nature, with Adam sending the journalist YouTube clips of Lord Rayel preaching. As the pro day arrived, people were still unsure if Adam Muema would show, as his strange social media posts had not stopped and he had not confirmed his intention to attend. Despite this, some NFL scouts made the journey to San Diego State with hopes of seeing Adam work out, highlighting that his hopes of an NFL career were not dead yet. He just needed to show up to the pro day and show off the skills he displayed for 3 years in college. Just show up, perform for a few hours to give yourself a chance at a multi-million-dollar contract and an NFL career. It all seems so simple, but again, Adam Muema did not show up to perform his drills. In fact, he didn't show up to the pro day at all. The journalist who had been in contact with Adam texted him asking why he didn't show up, and Adam replied, "I'm watching, you just can't see me," before minutes later posting a photo of himself in a strange disguise to Twitter. Adam would later upload a photo to Instagram from the pro day, which showed he was watching the pro day unfold from a distance behind a fence. The ESPN journalist said he could see himself in the photo. Adam had literally stood and watched from just yards away as his NFL dreams faded away and his teammates worked out and talked to scouts without him. By no showing his pro day, Adam Muema had all but officially turned down the chance to make millions playing a sport he loved in favor of devoting himself fully to religion and the cult of Lord Rayel. But this took place in 2014. The year is now 2021. What happened to Adam Muema in this time, and where is he now? To turn your back on an opportunity to earn millions of dollars and being a professional athlete must mean whatever you choose to do instead is something you feel is your true life's calling. While Adam Muema's disappearance and erratic behavior is concerning, ultimately choosing to devote yourself to preaching the word of God over earning millions shows that Adam felt it was what he was put on earth to do. It's just a huge shame that Adam placed his faith in such an obvious fraud like Lord Rayel. In the aftermath of no showing his pro day, Adam kept in contact with the ESPN journalist he'd been texting with, and even agreed to meet with the journalist before flaking at the last minute. Although Adam was not replying to concerned teammates and friends' texts and calls, he was still active on social media, professing his love for Lord Rayel and his belief that Lord Rayel is the Messiah. Alongside his religious posts were random posts sprinkled in, such as a photo suggesting he was at Coachella, a selfie in a military uniform, and a picture of a handgun on a bed. A few weeks later, Adam told different ESPN journalists he was considering a career in mixed martial arts, as he didn't like being a slave to money or coaches, but nothing ever came of this. Adam threw himself fully into preaching the word of God and dedicated himself completely to the cult of Lord Rayel, eventually going on to meet with the false prophet and making a YouTube video describing his feelings on meeting Lord Rayel.
I wanted to share briefly on my experience of meeting and seeing the Messiah for the first time. It was actually really surreal leading up to the days into the anointment, and I did not allow myself to fully comprehend what was actually about to happen, and that we were about to be in the presence of the living Son of God.
Now we're in September 2021 and not much has changed. Adam Muema never attempted to make a comeback in American football, and to this day he is still devoted and committed to Lord Rayel and extremely religious. He still has his Twitter account, although it has not been used since December 2020, and his feed is usually him spamming things related to his faith or Lord Rayel. His most recent tweets are a mixture of Lord Rayel religious related stuff and coronavirus related tweets. From what I can gather from the tweets, it seems that Lord Rayel's followers believed coronavirus to be the impending apocalypse that Lord Rayel had promised about for years. In one tweet, Adam Muema warns that the US is lying about the number of COVID deaths and people should flee for Baja, Mexico, which is where I believe Lord Rayel's church to be based and possibly where Adam Muema has been living for the last few years. Adam Muema can be found preaching regularly on YouTube under the channel Sanctuary Interfaith, with his latest video being only a few weeks ago, in which Adam talks about homosexuality being accepted by Lord Rayel. It's impossible to tell from the videos Adam's emotional or mental state, but if he's still there over 7 years after committing himself to Lord Rayel, I guess he feels content and happy. While it's a shame that Adam Muema has devoted many years of his life to a wife-beater pretending to be Jesus, ultimately he is not really doing any harm, and in his head I'm sure he feels like he is serving his purpose and doing something positive with his life. In life, I feel like the most valuable thing that you can have above everything is happiness, and if serving Lord Rayel is what makes Adam happy and gives his life purpose, then I guess there are much worse paths he could have ended up taking in life. It cannot have been an easy choice to make, and the stress of the situation may have been the cause of Adam's weird behaviour. I sincerely hope that Adam is doing well mentally and enjoying his life without regretting his decision to walk away from the NFL. Hopefully one day he will separate himself from Lord Rayel, but above everything else, I just hope he is doing good and that he's happy. The end.